today we have with us Mayuresh Purandare, Head IT Marico. With that, I'd like to welcome you to another interesting session of the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. Today, we're talking to Mayuresh Purandare, who's the Head IT for Marico. Welcome, Mayuresh.
Thanks for having me here.
So, I was going through your background and kind of curious to know what has actually influenced your life. I mean, personally, professionally, what's kind of been a very strong influence for you?
Yeah, you as you grow throughout your life, your influences changes. Number of people, different type of people influence you, right? So when you start small, your friends influence you. As you grow a little older, same the friends keep on influencing, but the different type of friends are there now. And yeah, when you kind of start your career, then that is where you have people around you who kind of keep on influencing you. So I remember one quote from Jack Ma. He says that whenever you are choosing your first company, you should not choose your company, but you should choose your boss. Right. So that is something which has also happened with me. So there have been fantastic people in my professional career with which I worked, and many of them kept on influencing me. Um, yeah, if you want to have more details about person also, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. But yeah, there are a lot of
Sure, sounds good.
yeah.
Um, would you kind of suggest any books or anything that you would suggest people look at? Does that helps?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. There are some books who also influenced me, in my career. So, when I started a little young in the career, right? You are completely focusing on just making sure your career is in the right direction, and making sure you are earning enough, or you are spending enough to make sure your life is you're enjoying, right? So as you grow up, as you see more of your corporate culture, you realize that there is something more needs to be there to it, and it should be beyond the normal routine work. And that is where I actually got an opportunity to work with a fantastic leadership program, which happens actually in Hong Kong, called as Global Leadership Program, run by institute called as Global Institute for Tomorrow. So when I heard the name of it, it's a leadership program, right? What is this Global Institute for Tomorrow? How does it really matter, right? So generally you hear ISB or the IIMs or the Stanfords of the world, right? Who does the executive education, right? So, but this was a very interesting program, and I met someone called like Chandran Nair. He's a person of Indian origin, but born and raised in, I guess, in Malaysia. So he was actually one of the influence on me, and he actually wrote a fantastic book called as Sustainable State. So that book was also part of our leadership program, and that program actually changed quite a lot of things for me. That program actually helped me to realize that corporates are not only made to make profits, corporates are also made to give it back to the community. And we actually, so it was around a 2 weeks long program. Um we were like almost 35 people all across the globe, sitting in the best of the race course in Hong Kong. So there's a fantastic race course in downtown Hong Kong. So we were having our nice executive session out there. And 1 week was there in a nicely cozy room. And next week we are back in India, in one of the small villages, where we are actually helping one of the small farmer producer company to make their business case.
Wow.
So it was completely a different program altogether, and that influenced me a lot, and it changed my view towards why are we working completely.
Cool. So, you talked about working, and so that actually brings me to my next question. Um, you know, you're in a very senior position with Marico. So, what do you think has helped you to get where you are?
So I think one of the things which I like, and maybe my family is not so happy with it, is my passion for work. So what I believe in is when you like what you do, you will grow up automatically. Then there is no one can stop you from doing so. So I love technology. And that's why I'm there in technology. And when you do that, then you're bound to grow. At the same time, it is not only you who wants to grow, right? So there's an entire ecosystem around you. You have partners, you have your reportees, you have your stakeholders, right? Everyone wants to grow. So when you have that growth mindset, I believe that helps you as a person as well as a position, and the people around you, everything grows together. That's what I believe.
Okay, that's a nice philosophy. So it can't have all been like a smooth journey. So I'm going to ask you for one of your worst and one of your best conversations with a CEO.
Right.
We start with the worst one. That's more exciting.
Right. So I won't name any company or any CEO for that matter, but
Sure.
it was one of the multinational companies for which I was working, and when you are a lot, when you are passionate about something, and you want to deliver that project, or if you want to deliver that concept, right? You are very passionate about it. And so I remember, I was presenting a new kind of a new go-to-market strategy for having a completely shared service center based out of India for the entire Southeast Asia and globe. And I was kind of promoting a lot of things that we should do this, we should do that. So I was completely engrossed in explaining about all of that, that how a new technology can be implemented, how can we completely outsource all of the mundane work back in India, and then we can start implementing robotic process automation and stuff. So while that project had a lot of merit, the project went ahead, we could successfully implement the entire shared services center. That concept went live, right? But sometimes what matters to the CEO more is, yeah, but my laptop is not working well. That kind of puts you down, right? You are actually pitching for something big, but for someone, the small things also matter a lot. So that was actually not, I would not say as a bad experience or a worse experience as such, but yeah, it was a learning that sometimes what matters to someone you don't know, right? So
Cool.
yeah.
And what would you say was one of your best conversations?
So one of the best conversations, I would say. Uh, so what happened is, I would actually say the same CEO. When yeah, it went to the next level of maturity. The conversation went into the next levels. We presented the entire proposal to the global driving committee, and everyone liked the proposal. And then everyone saw that yes, there's a merit in doing something like that. At that time, the same CEO actually sat me down, understood how the entire business model can be created. That he quickly pulled in the finance guys to see what could be the taxation strategies, what could be the cross charge strategies, and how that shared services center can really take a shape, right? So I think converting a concept into something deliverable, it's a journey. And the same CEO actually behaved in a different way, but it was both are very interesting conversation, to be honest.
So, what would you say were your long term personal goals? I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff, but I'm sure you're also thinking forward. So, what would you say were your long term goals?
Yeah. So I think the long-term goal is something to give back to the society. I know it's little too cliche. Everyone would say that, but nobody would do something about it. Same is the case with me. I'm no different. I'm a human, right? So still, I'm in the same boat. I'm still not able to do a lot of things what I'm wishing for. But probably somewhere, as I was discussing with someone earlier, that. uh, what we want. So what I want to do in future probably is, how can I implement some technology? It may not be the best of the NASA technology, but a small technology which we can help the farmers to make more crop at the lesser natural resources, right? So how that can happen is something I was actually very passionate about, and I hope that in future I will be able to pursue that.
So that brings me to my next question, which is going to put you on the spot. When do you plan to retire to find time to do all these things?
Yeah. So Jesse, to be honest, I don't want to retire. And what I believe in is, retirement is a state of mind, right? No company would retire you. You would retire from your work, right? So I don't want to retire. I would want to continue working, not maybe for a company, but for something else. And that something is, as I was telling you, probably could be giving it back to society by some means or other. I also enjoy teaching, so I like, probably, so I also mentor the grad students from MBA colleges, the engineering colleges. So I think, I would like to continue doing that. So I would not call myself as retired at that time, maybe.
Okay, so no dreams of lying by the beach and
That could be
doing.
probably, once in a 6 month, for not more than 5 days, not
Sure.
forever.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think, we are moving towards more of a work-life continuum rather than, a chunky kind of an approach. So let me ask you this then. I mean, what would you be if, what would you do if you were the CIO of India? It sounds like a really juicy role for someone like you.
Yeah, that's right. So CIO of India probably is, so obviously not the prime minister, right? Because the prime minister has a different agenda, but the CIO has to make sure there is a profitability. So maybe more of a finance minister, right? Yeah. So so one of the things that I would compare myself with is, so I read one of the books called as a managerial grid by Black and Mouton. Okay. So in that book, it teaches you about a quadrant. The quadrant talks about, so there are four quadrants in there, right? So one is the productivity of the output of the task quadrant, and one quadrant is the people quadrant. Okay. So in that, when you start, right, so it is 1 1 on this side, it is 1 9 on this side, it is 9, sorry, it is 9 1, it is 1 9, 9 9 at the corner, and 5 5 in the middle. So what does that mean, right? So if you are moving as a person towards being 9 1, so you are more of a task oriented than the people oriented, right? If you are moving towards, y axis, right, then you are more of a people oriented, less of a task or the output oriented, right? If you are 1 1, means you are more of a neither a people oriented nor a task oriented. You are kind of in a zone where you want to retire, right? As you were asking question, right? The 5 5, right? The 5 5 people are the ones who are kind of, will go behind what is right, but they will not try and do something right. And when you go further up, which is the 9 9, which are the right balance of the output and the people, right? So you are managing the right side of output, at the same time you are taking care of the people, right? So that is the sweet spot that I believe as a India CIO or CEO, right? I would like to achieve, where I'm not only working or focusing on the policies or something which will generate more output, but at the same time the people, right, that who is the base of any country, right? So they are also been taken care of.
Cool. And, you know, if you could look at one change in society that you could make with technology, what would that be? Again, wearing your CIO of India hat.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So technology, whether we like it or not, it's going to be a part of our life, more than now in future. right? So technology is essential, and probably, as I was thinking earlier, that how can I use the technology back into the agriculture is something I would be really really interested to keep on exploring. So I remember I met one of the startups in China. They are the drone startups. So so what is what is different in it, right? There are thousands and thousands of companies who do drones, right? So drones is not a big thing, but what they do is they manufacture such drone that they can be used for agriculture purpose. Now, is the drone only enough? No. So what they have is they have the entire ecosystem at the back end, which is used to make sure that the entire agricultural land of a particular state is completely scanned by the drone to make sure whatever is missed by the GPS satellite is also got by the drone, and that drone actually measures inch by inch level for that entire state of the agricultural land. So once you measure that, right, so after that, the drone is also used for plantation of seeds. The same drone is used for the spraying of a water. The same drone is used for spraying of a pesticide, depending on the images of that particular crop. If they see that there are more pests on a specific site, they will go and spray more pesticide there, right? So all of that, why it is being used is not because they want to replace manpower, right? These drones are not to replace manpower, because one of the biggest challenge today is the fertility of the land, right? When there's a
Yep.
human intervention, human doesn't understand how much of fertilizer I should use for that particular crop or that particular row of a crop, right? So this technology actually helps them to select the and take a right decision, so that you will not over fertilize that land, which will in turn reduce the fertility of the land in longer times, right? So these are some of the technologies which I found are actually are out there available. It's just not extended to everyone yet. So yeah, so a lot of these technologies I would be
Yeah, it's
willing to.
pretty amazing. I mean, what you can do with tech today. So I'm going to switch tracks a little bit and ask you a couple of personal questions. So one
Mhm.
is, who's your friendly ear? Someone whom you can speak to without being judged.
Yeah, so friendly ears actually. So to be honest, I do not have a single person who is my friendly ear, but what I promote at home as well as in office is I become a friendly ear in my home for everyone, and in my office I create more friendly ears in the entire ecosystem, so that the entire team building happens, right? Because the friendly ear is very important in life. Not every moment is rosy in life, right? You need someone to go to and crib about, cry about, laugh about. So whether it's not the same for everyone, but at least for me, even I consider my boss as my friendly ear.
That's an
you know
unusual take.
but yeah, that is the kind of relationships I believe in building, so that everyone in the team can be a friendly ear.
Sure. So we've covered a lot of ground, and one last question for you. So, what are the hobbies or passions that make you tick in your work life continuum?
Yeah, that's right. So I love too many things to do, but unfortunately do not get time to do so. So one of which is reading books. I do not get time to do so, so I still try and keep on doing that whenever I get time. I like photography, so I used to travel a lot before COVID with my camera, and also I like to do road trips. So I used to actually carry a camera, do a road trip with the family, and do a photography. And also not only do a photography, come home, then edit those images. I love doing all of that. Right? So that is something I used to do. I hope I'll be doing that soon. If the unlock happens everywhere else. Then I also used to run. Unfortunately, again for almost 8 to 9, 10 months, couldn't run much. So that is something bothers me sometimes. Then I like to bake. So when I'm home and now this entire work from home scenario, I could bake a lot. Yeah, whether it was not work from home or not, I still used to bake, and I love to bake with my daughter together. So that is something I love. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, you've got a lot of stuff you're interested in, a true Renaissance man. um, so, Mayuresh, it's been great chatting with you and a fantastic range of topics that we've covered today. Thank you so much.